What's good? What's good? Good morning. I realized this is my 200th video, and so I wanted to take a minute to just talk about the journey. It's been a wild ride. I started this YouTube channel 2.5 years ago when I was living in a van. Not even like a really badass remodeled van, it was just a van with all my shit thrown inside of it. I eventually did, over the year and a half I lived in it, remodel it, and I had stints and stays here and there, but I've traveled literally across the country and back. I lost my best friend along the way. My dog. Um, I lost a lot of other friends too. Um, I did not see a lot of this coming. Hoo boy, hoo boy. I eventually sold the van, thank goodness, got out of that. I have semi-stable living situation. I always need money if you want to send money though. um, let's go back to the beginning for a minute. It was right as the plague was starting to shape up and people were starting to take it seriously. It was right when like 2 weeks to flatten the curve came out. Do you guys remember that? In Washington State, they still have mandates up 2.5 years later. And I can tell you, the moment that I decided I had to do something, I was dumb and shared on my Facebook feed post the Judy Mikovits, I think is her name, link video scandemic or plandemic, where she talks about the collusion and corruption between Dr. Fauci and the NIH, and how he has a history of doing shady things and how they're lying about the true nature of the bug, blah, blah, blah. I shared that and I was just annihilated. Oh my gosh, the things people said to me. And that was kind of like the beginning. I was like, okay, I need to continue to speak up, but I need to go to another level because I'm not a fucking keyboard warrior. If I had a dime for every time I've heard the "you're better than this, Andrew," or "what happened to you, Andrew," I used to think you were a smart, cool guy, I wouldn't need the money I just asked for earlier. God damn, so many people like abandoned me. Uh, some of them quietly, some of them vocally. And so that's when I decided, I'm just going to start trying. If I could go back in time to like 16-year-old me and have a conversation with him, I would explain to him a lot of these events and encourage him to go to law school instead of going to business. Go to law school, focus on helping to end the war on drugs, explain to him the absolutely devastating effects the war on drugs has had on our marginalized communities, but also our fucking country as a whole. I honor and acknowledge that our prisons are populated heavily by people of color resulting from the war on drugs. And that is a wrong that needs righted. But in the bigger picture, everybody has been affected by this war on drugs. We all know someone that is addicted to opiates, that moved on to fentanyl and is no longer here. In the last month, 2 people in my peripheral circle have been lost because of fentanyl. This fucking war on drugs is a joke. I do not use the word fascism lightly. And then, okay. I cannot go back in time. I cannot explain that to 16-year-old me. I have to utilize the degrees I have now. I have a master's degree in business administration. My emphasis was in change leadership. I did not see the woke thing coming. My goal was to work in a corporation in organizational culture, influencing a paradigm shift that I saw on the horizon, not just at the corporate level, but at the cultural and community level. I was right in seeing the paradigm shift, but I was wrong in seeing the catalyst, the spiritual war. You know what's funny is I'm still using the same $200 laptop that I have had for years to make these videos, and now I record half of them on my phone. It's not something that I've ever invested a lot of video editing effort into. My bandwidth is quite limited. If you watch my content, you know, I'm psychologically struggling, I'm financially struggling. But there is just this drive in me to create and contribute. Maybe I'll tag him. There's a really cool YouTube channel, Gokinaru, extraordinarily brilliant young man who at a very young age identified that he was kind of wasting his potential. So shout out to you for that. It's not that I feel like I'm wasting my potential, because I work really hard. I'm always exhausted. But when you make 15, 20 bucks an hour after taxes and after everything, you don't get, you're going nowhere. And this is another point I wanted to bring up. Okay. It started with pot in that I decided I was not going to work for a company that drug tested. That was a personal, moral decision that I had made. And then everybody's like, "What's wrong, Andrew? You can't just not smoke for 2 weeks to get a job?" I've won competitive powerlifting competitions. Uh, uh, I have. Okay, I'm trying to distract from the point. I'm trying to detail my willpower in that, yes, I could if I wanted, and I have. I have taken tolerance breaks. It's not about the ability or the willpower. It's about the deeper principle of the matter of bodily autonomy. My body, my choice. And so a lot of people in my life judged me and criticized me and said that if I'm not willing to sacrifice, I'm not worthy or deserving of assistance or support. And I get it, but I find it very fascinating that these people are more critical of my personal decision to utilize and to support a very beautiful, natural, healing plant medicine, opposed to the society that is demonizing something so beautiful and natural. It's easier for them in their brain to see me as the bad person instead of our society as fundamentally flawed. Cognitive dissonance. These people who drink alcohol and take prescription drugs think that because they themselves are noble and righteous and do not consume cannabis, that I should adhere to that same level of standards. To each their own. I'm very libertarian. But that created, I don't want to say a conflict within me, but it did. I'll say a conflict within me because these people who say they love me and want to be in my life are also highly critical of a very natural thing that I'm choosing to do. Or some of them have just abandoned me because of it, which is like, damn, whatever. My body, my choice. Look at 2021, 2022 and these mandates. I'm so glad that I began my precedent standing before these, because it laid the groundwork. I didn't realize that my stance on cannabis was going to help solidify my position on my body, on bodily autonomy, and that it was going to be necessary fortification for the coming battle, because it evolved into, okay, Andrew, now you won't get a job because you can't get a job because you won't get a vaccine. You just need to suck it up. It's just a simple jab. Oh my gosh. The fact that people were characterizing it as a standard simple injection, it was just so discouraging. I've made videos about it, so I won't rhapsodize too much on it, but that's a peak hypocrisy is a term I use a lot, especially when I'm trying to attack the left. That's more peak hypocrisy. Because when the mandates came out, it got real quiet around the whole my body, my choice thing. Let's try and wrap up the video. I was just, thank you for listening. If you have my journey, it's been interesting. It's only going to continue. Maybe I'll begin to put some video editing effort in. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm on the right path. That's one of the hardest things to accept, is knowing you're on the path, but not knowing where the path goes. But that's where faith and trust in the system, or not in the system, trust in yourself. Much love. Thank you for listening.